What is up, everybody? Appreciate you for tuning in to another edition of the On the Ball podcast. Hopefully, you're having a good day. Hopefully, you're enjoying Thanksgiving week. This is the show before Thanksgiving, so we will have a Thanksgiving theme NFL discussion. Um, get into some NBA as well because there's some interesting developments that Brett and I will talk about. But obviously, before we get into all of that, you know, Brett not guarding the two, guarding three. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm hyped to be on here. Apparently, my dogs are all hyped up too. So let's get it.
Right, exactly. um, yeah. So, look, don't need to waste too much time. Let's go ahead and get into our first topic. So the NBA, there was the news about LaMelo Ball potentially wanting out of Charlotte, which I don't think anybody's really surprised by that. But this is now on the heels of like Ja Morant and his up and down season with Memphis, which we'll have to talk about him and Klay Thompson during this as well. And you also have Trey Young, where Trey Young's been out, and it seems like more and more people are wondering, you know, with the Hawks playing the way that they are, could they, um, trade? I guess Trey Young. I don't know, but I guess looking at this simple question, Brett, you're running a team. Front office goes, we need guard help. Which one of the three would you trade for? And which one would be an absolutely no way deal for you?
So if I was gonna make a trade, I think that number one is probably Trey Young.
Okay.
He's very controversial, but at the end of the day, he's just such a fantastic offensive weapon, and he just creates a lot offensively. And I think the amount he creates is just great. So I say I'm hoping he does get moved. That'd be an interesting time, but I think I would go Trey. The least I want to say the person I would least trade for is maybe Ja because I like Lamelo's size at the point guard position. But any team would be lucky to have any one of these guards.
Okay. Yeah. I do think if you're looking at the three of them, Trey would probably be the one that would gain the most interest around the league. I do think it's interesting because when I was looking at their stats, neither of them are really shooting that well from the field. And I think for Ja, his case, he's not really seen as a shooter, but for Trey Young, 37% is really low. And I think even with LaMelo, it's like you look at LaMelo as like a volume shooter that's not necessarily the most efficient, so that's not really that much of a surprise. But only because Trey is the smallest of the three, that would be my hesitation. But he obviously has done probably the most in the league. I think. Well, I probably maybe a couple of years ago would have said John Morant, but now with the way that he just is right now, I don't know if I would necessarily take that in my locker room. Because like I said before, the whole him and Klay Thompson thing, him literally just going up to Klay Thompson calling him a bum, it's just like you just trying to do whatever you can to just force your way out. Because one, Klay Thompson's an accomplished player. Is he having a great season this year? No. But for you, Ja Morant, a guy who hasn't done anything, despite a couple of years ago saying that you're good in the West, kind of just been on the downhill since those comments. Like I just saw that and I was just like, how much longer can Memphis deal with him? And is he kind of killing his reputation around the league with all these little stupid things that he's doing all of a sudden? I just don't understand what Ja Morant's like doing right now.
seems that he just doesn't really want to be in this. So it feels like that's the case. They're just kind of end up running a similar situation. We saw with like James Harden or the Anthony Davis at the end of the Pelicans tenure that I think he just either clearly wants out or wants something to change, whether that's in the front office or the coaching staff, but he just looks unhappy and stressed out. So hopefully they get that cleared up soon.
Right. Yeah. Um, I mean, look, those of you that are in the chat, feel free to answer this as well. If you were running a team, you could only pick up one of these three through trade, obviously. Who would you go for? Both Brett and I would go Trae Young, and I don't know if any of you have a different opinion. Would love to hear it. Because I could make the argument for John Morant. It's just that I just don't like John Morant right now. That's my
So,
biggest problem with him. I just don't like this act that he's like on right now.
I could make the argument for LaMelo too, but I'm also just I just hate LaMelo's shot selection. It's
Right.
so bad.
Yeah.
Like at least with Trey, is sometimes the shots are stupid, but a lot of times like I get the idea behind them. LaMelo's just pulling some like just straight BS mid game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I'm gonna take a one-legged three with 17 seconds on the shot clock. Like, why do you need that? Like Trey, normally it's just at least like I'm gonna take a 30-footer with 17 on the clock. Like, not ideal, but okay, whatever. You're open.
Right. Yeah, that's probably my biggest I guess biggest reason for probably putting LaMelo below Trey in this. I watch LaMelo ball sometimes just like you do know when you take those shots, you basically give the defense, you know, a break. Because with his ball handling ability and his ability to score when he wants to take responsible shots, it's like when you do those, like you said, one-legged threes, it's just like you're bailing out the defense, and you kind of hope that's something that he kind of breaks the habit from as he becomes more of a vet in the league. But I don't know, maybe that's where him getting out of Charlotte might speed that process up. I feel like because Charlotte's kind of unserious right now, he kind of does what he does.
Say absolutely. Say there's just not a lot of veteran presence over in Charlotte. Feels like something like that could help him.
Right.
If he just literally traded those shots for like being more aggressive, getting into the rim, that would be great because he's once again he's 6'7". He has such a big frame and he's such a great passer that him getting to the rim just generates such open looks for his teammates.
Right. Isn't Cade 6'7"?
Yeah, he's like 6'7", 6'8". He's up there.
But it's just like you watch Cade, and it's like Cade uses his bigger frame, you know, to get to the rim, get in the mid range, and to kind of dominate that way. LaMelo just uses it like, oh, I can just shoot over you from way out here. I'm just gonna do it. So I feel like if he adopted a little bit of what Cade does, he'd be a lot better.
Yeah, and Cade's not even that great of a finisher, but even the threat of him getting to the rim is good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice little quick way to start off the show with a nice little trade talk because I kind of found it funny that just as we were getting out of the John Morant stuff, LaMelo comes up. And Trey's kind of been hiding in the background because he's been out, so we just haven't seen him play. But the Hawks are playing so well right now that I think you kind of have to ask the question: do the Hawks pull the trigger on a move on with him? I don't know if they can find somebody, but they are playing really well right now.
Well, I think they can. It's just hard to replace somebody who's offensively gifted like Trae Young. They are playing well, but for how long? Because we've seen stretches like this. The star player goes out, team wins without him. Oh, they should just trade the star player, but it doesn't always work out as well as people want to think that does.
Right, that is true. That's true. All right, let's move on. Monday Night Football wasn't the greatest game. Like, not even close. That one stretch where you went Purdy from his own end zone, interception, to Bryce Young, was it on the 5 yard line, rolls out. There's a lineman literally standing there waiting for him to run it in so he could block the one guy that's there. And Bryce decides to throw it into traffic, picked. And then Brock Purdy turned around and threw, which I have to say, J.C. Horn made a great break on the ball, but it was a lot of ugly football surrounded by the fact that, one, the Panthers were on Monday Night Football. Like, that right there was something to celebrate because they're having a good year. It's probably a surprising year. But you kind of saw that they're not ready for the limelight yet in the way that they played against the Niners. And then the Niners were a team that was looking to give that game away because Brock Purdy was just, the decision making at times was just horrific, despite what Shanahan said, that he's making the right reads. It's just whatever. I don't know about that, buddy. But, and look, we're not even talking about the game itself. The way the game ended, where Jawan Jennings goes up to Mooring and just open hand slaps him in the face, well, in the face mask. I remember watching. I was like, what could have caused that? Then the video came out. Mooring, not that long before that, low blowed Jennings, which caused all of this. And Mooring got a 1 game suspension. Jennings didn't get any punishment because obviously the league was like, yeah, we kind of get why you did it. So I guess looking at the totality of the game and how it ended, like what were your big takeaways from the game last night? Whether it's, are the Panthers pretenders after the Monday night game, and are the Niners like really contenders in the NFC?
I mean, define pretenders for Carolina because I thought that they could make the playoffs, but don't think they're really much more than a one and done. So,
Well, I guess
to
for
me, they're
Carolina, it's because they went into the game last night with the chance to take the divisional lead. Now, do you see them as a team that maybe pushes the Bucks, or the Bucks still win the division, or do you
I
think
think
the
they
Panthers still find a way to win that division?
I think they could still win the division.
Okay.
It's a very, very rough division so this year, but yeah, no, I think they still can. But getting Moerig suspended for next week's game against the Rams sure doesn't help. Just for being an idiot, Bryce
Yeah.
Young's got to clean up his decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it was such a bad game on and off the field for the Rams because now, I mean, not the Rams, the Panthers, because now you're down your starting safety for next week. And that was maybe the most uninspiring football you will ever see in your life. So, not a great week for Carolina, but hey, you know what? They could still push for the division.
Okay. I mean, I find myself like rooting for the Panthers only because they've been down and out for so long. I like seeing Bryce Young playing better, even though, like I said, that rollout, I was just screaming like, just run it in, run it in, run it in. And then for some reason, he throws it to the back of the end zone. And I guess you have to give the defender some credit baiting him, but down that close to the end zone, you gotta know space is limited. So the chances of you getting that to your receiver in the back of the end zone with those many bodies in the area, not worth it. Especially when you just had to beat one guy on the rollout with a lineman ready to block for you. That's just the play that he has to make the right decision and run it in. And maybe he'll learn from that, hopefully. But yeah, that once he threw that interception, I was like, yeah, the Panthers just aren't gonna do it.
They didn't even really need to bait him though. Like the play design itself had two guys like 3 yards away from each other,
Yeah.
running similar routes, just one slightly deeper than the other. So it wasn't even the 49ers baited them. It was just the play concept was so bad that it squished all the defenders into one area. At that
Hmm.
point, Bryce Young's just got to be smart enough to either A, throw it out of the back of the end zone and try again next down, or just run it in. But he literally tried the one thing that he really shouldn't have. And that
Yeah.
just kind of set the tone for that team for the rest of the game, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's why sometimes when these coordinators will call rollouts in the red zone and that close to the goal line, that's kind of the risk they run, because usually if you're going to roll out to one side, you're bringing mostly everybody who's out in a route over to that side, and like you just said, when you have 11 defenders packed in like that, I don't really know who you're expecting to get open, unless it's like a really quick throw. The longer you hold the ball, at that point you're not really going to find anybody open. So you either just airmail it out the back of the end zone, or, I mean, like I keep saying, he could have literally walked into the end zone. For some reason he just didn't want to. But then, I guess, what were your thoughts on the end of the game situation? I mean, do you think Jennings should have gotten some punishment as well, or are you fine with them just penalizing Mooring?
I don't mind them just penalizing Mooring, honestly.
Yeah,
Because, like, if you're going to low blow somebody, obviously they're going to retaliate. That
yeah,
doesn't shock me. So, honestly, I'm not mad. I'm not mad that they only did that. Just don't go around low blowing people. I think it's that simple.
yeah. It's like back-to-back weeks. You get Chase spitting, Mooring with the low blows. It's like what are we gonna get this week? Somebody just RKOing somebody in the middle of the field. Like, it's these players are just getting so random all of a sudden. But yeah. I mean, like I said, it was not the best Monday night game, but Niners do pull through. They get the win. They, I guess, stay somewhat attached to the NFC West, which still is, I guess, arguably the best division in football. And for Carolina, yeah, they didn't take advantage this week, but there's still a few games left if they want to, I guess, be a serious playoff team. Which, like I said, for a young team like that, it would do a lot. Even if they went into Wild Card Weekend and got destroyed, just making the playoffs can, elevate the confidence level in a lot of these guys, especially Bryce Young. But,
No, absolutely.
all right. So I was on Instagram looking around, and I came across this, and I was like, this is actually interesting. So the question is, which QB class was worse? Very simple. You got 2014 and 2021. And you look at some of the names on here, and it's like, yeah, these classes were really bad. I think it's hilarious that the Patriots were involved in both of them, as well as the Jags. So, the Jags went Bortles at number 3, Trevor Lawrence at number 1. But 2014, you had Bortles, number 3 pick. When you think about it, that must have been a really bad draft. Johnny Manziel, pick number 22, Cleveland. He's on that long list of quarterbacks that just couldn't work out in Cleveland. You have Teddy Two Gloves, who was the last pick of the first round. Then you had Derek Carr, top of the second round, Garoppolo towards the end of the second round. Versus 2021 with Lawrence going number 1, Zach Wilson number 2, Trey Lance number 3, Fields 11, and Mac Jones 15. Like, I don't know, maybe 2021 it gets swayed to them because all those guys were first round picks, but which class was worse?
I actually think it's 2021 rather easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Derek Carr, people talk about his time, with the Saints that ended his career, but he had that one season that was so good that he was the front runner for the MVP before he like snapped his leg with the Raiders.
Yep.
Say Jimmy Garoppolo obviously helped take the 49ers places, most notably a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Bortles helped the Jaguars get to that one AFC Championship game.
Yep.
So, to me, the top is more accomplished. You can argue that maybe the best quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. If you want to make that argument, I'll listen to it. But I think overall body of work, give me the 2021 class being the worst one out of these two.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would agree with that. And I think it's partly because they're all first round picks. And, you look at them, Lawrence has struggled. And even this year, what's going on, Jory? Even with this year, which was supposed to be kind of an important year for him, his play's been kind of mid, even though they are a playoff team currently. I'm not going to have a lot of faith in them holding on to that, but Zach Wilson was a disaster with the Jets, even though a lot of quarterbacks are messes with the Jets, and he just hasn't had another opportunity to kind of wipe that away. Trey Lance is the biggest enigma of anybody on here because he was drafted with limited college experience. Every time he's been given an opportunity in the NFL, he gets hurt, and then you don't see him for a while. Fields is a guy that you want to root for, but it didn't work with the Bears, another organization that's had, their own struggles with quarterback play. But now with the Jets, it's like he's almost regressed to the point where he's not really that big of a threat with his arm. And Mac Jones, it seems like Mac Jones has at least found somewhere that works for him. Problem is, he's stuck behind a high-priced quarterback in Brock Purdy. Like 2014, Teddy Bridgewater is what he is. Like, he's a quality backup who can win you a game or two. And like you said, I'm glad you said that about Derek Carr. I feel like Derek Carr gets a lot of crap. He was a talented quarterback who was stuck in terrible situations. And then, Jimmy G, yeah, sure. So I would agree that 2021 was probably worse. Only for the fact that it was hyped up with those quarterbacks and none of them have really taken the league by storm. Like, not even close.
So, yeah, 2014 at least have some, like, noticeable peaks. I don't even know what the 2021 draft class's best accomplishment is with these five quarterbacks. Like, Trevor Lawrence beat the Chargers in a playoff game, if that counts for anything.
Right, that we more remember for Staley and the Chargers' ineptitude that allowed Trevor Lawrence to get the win. Because that
threw like 5 picks and lost.
Yeah, like the first half by Trevor Lawrence, he should have been benched, but, it's only because Brandon Staley was just that bad as a coach. I mean, even 2014, like, yeah, I guess Carr leaps and bounds is the most accomplished. I'd probably take Carr's career over Trevor Lawrence's career.
Hey, fair enough.
Okay. But like I said, I was just, looking around on Instagram and that one came across and I was like, that might be interesting. I'll probably start finding more of those. I see them every once in a while and I kind of forget to bring them on the show.
No, I enjoy that one.
All right, so it is. Yep, Jory agrees. 2021 was worse, yeah. So now it is Thanksgiving week. We already know Thursday's a day that you'll plop down, get a lot of football action, and I guess by the third game, some of y'all might be, food drunk and passed out with the game watching you, but at least for the first couple, yeah, you're kind of locked in. So it did get me thinking. Also, turducken, you're going to be hearing that all over the place, in memory of John Madden. He loved him some turducken. But I wanted to take this and go with a look at the teams that are outside of the current playoff picture, and as it says very simply, who's more dangerous? And when I say dangerous, I mean like if they get in, they have the ability to go on a bit of a run, maybe upset some top seeded teams, and really make life difficult on the current playoff teams. So we're looking at the Houston Texans, who, coming off of a couple of big wins, defense has really, got it going, and now they've kind of played themselves into an opportunity to take over in their division. We have the Chiefs, who are coming off of a big win against the Colts, even though they're still on the outside looking in. But I think with their championship pedigree, people look at them and say, if they get in, look out. And then we have the Detroit Lions, who, with Dan Campbell, they've really taken on this tough kind of persona. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who I guess you could argue best running back in the league this year. They have Jameson Williams. Like, they have the pieces to be really good. It's just that their season's been kind of disjointed. So, looking at the three of them, who is the most dangerous team on the outside looking in?
I honestly think that you just go right to left on this one.
Okay. So
Say
you
I
go
would take,
Lions is the most dangerous, then the Chiefs, then the Texans. Okay.
yeah, and if you want to argue Chiefs, that's fine. I think you can interchange the Lions and Chiefs if you want, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, this is a Lions team that look, they're also still 7-3. They're having a really good year, just being overshadowed by the fact that the Packers are also having a really good year, and the Chicago Bears out of nowhere are 8-1, so or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, I think the Lions are the most dangerous teams out of these three, but respect to the Chiefs. I'll put them in second.
What's going on, T-Bit? They're all
Yeah, they're all
Thursday,
playing
right?
Thursday. What, are the
I
Texans?
honestly did
I know the
not.
Chiefs and Lions are.
Yeah, the Texans don't play on Thursday, but yeah, because Thursday you have Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, and then Bengals, Ravens. And you also get Black Friday football this year. So I'm down for that. So yeah, two of the three are Thanksgiving Day games. I would probably agree from right to left. I think the crazy thing is if you took probably the Lions offense and the Texans defense, you'd have a crazy team sitting there that would probably be the most dangerous of the three here. But I agree. I just think that the Lions, because of Gibbs, and when Goff is going, he's not a guy who makes a lot of mistakes. And then defensively, they're pretty sound. I would agree with them. Kansas City, like the only thing with Kansas City is just because people just have the recency that when they're in, you can kind of pencil them into the AFC title game. So I think just because of that, that's why they're so dangerous. Like you look at them on the field, it's the offense it's okay, and then the defense kind of okay. Mahomes has been okay. Like they haven't looked like themselves, but they're seemingly winning games now to keep themselves in the picture. Like
Yeah,
if the Colts had finished off that game, we'd probably be having a different conversation today.
it's one of those things with the Chiefs that Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. He's going to be elite. But
Mm-hmm.
my concern with the Chiefs is just I don't trust their run game. I think in the playoffs against teams when you're just game planning for one opponent,
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be a little tougher on them. Obviously, they're the Chiefs and they've made do with worse, so they obviously can still pull it out. But I think it's going to be a challenge if they are kind of forced to be one dimensional, only airing the ball out. Say
Yeah.
that's going to be a little risky, putting the ball in danger more often. So let's say I like the Chiefs. That's the biggest separator for me between them and the Lions. Is I trust the run game of the Lions a lot more than the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Chiefs can't really run the ball at all, and then the one thing holding back the Texans is how much do you really want to trust that offense, especially Davis Mills. But even with C.J. Stroud, they've struggled because the O line play hasn't been consistent, and if they could just figure that out, the Texans would be a really good team, just solely based off that defense. But so yeah, I think right to left is the perfect ranking for these three. Okay, follow up. More likely, all three make it in, or all three miss the playoffs.
Oh, am I going? Oh, shoot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't hear it. I mean, thanks for the feedback, because I guess obviously it sounds different to you all.
Huh. Okay.
Unless
Say
it was just simply just turning your volume down a little.
maybe.
I don't know. But
I I think it's more likely that all three make than all three miss because at least the Lions and Chiefs are probably making it.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And the way Jacksonville's playing, could see Houston take over the division lead, and then like the Chiefs take over that wild card spot, and then for the Lions, it's like how much do you want to trust the Bears? What the Bears are doing right now, that you would count the Lions out. So yeah, I think it's most likely that all three get in. Um, I mean, T-Bit, if the sounds like you're in a tunnel and your voice is bouncing off. Okay. I have a funny feeling about the Chiefs. Funny feeling like they missed the playoffs, or like funny feeling they like get it and make some run. I mean, I'm assuming probably funny feeling missed the playoffs, which the conspiracy theorists would automatically go with, well, the league would never allow them to miss the playoffs. I mean, sure, but they they play it like razor thin with these teams, and like I said a little earlier, chance they can miss the playoffs. I see that as well, because like I look at that Colts game and it's like I feel like that game was more so the Colts not finishing them off than necessarily the Chiefs playing so well that they won that game. But that's the Colts as well. Colts are a team that can't really put too much trust in. All right. Trying to see if there's a follow up to this here. That was the Colts turning into pumpkins. Well, it was the second week in a row where Daniel Jones's play hasn't been like it was earlier. Because yeah, look, the Chiefs did what I think most teams are going to do against Indy: focus on Jonathan Taylor and force Daniel Jones to prove that he is a different quarterback. Because early, it was easy for them to win when Jonathan Taylor's running, you know, running crazy on defenses, and yes, third, true, and all Daniel Jones really had to do was play action, wide open receivers because everybody's gearing up for the run. Now it's kind of reversed, and Daniel Jones hasn't really passed those tests. I mean, I think they're going to be an interesting team interesting team to watch down the stretch as well. Because if Houston does overtake them, which I mean the chances are kind of slim, but I don't know if I would trust the Colts as a road team wild card weekend beating somebody. I think the Colts need that game to be in Indy. And even then, depending on who they get as a matchup, like that's going to be their biggest thing. They are matchup based. But you look at some of those teams in the wild card picture. Like, would you be surprised if the Chargers went to Indy and won? Probably not. Let's say Kansas City gets in. Would you be surprised if they went to Indy and won? No. Or even if somehow Houston got in. Would you be surprised if that defense then just completely shut down Indy? No, not at all.
So I'd be kind of shocked if the Chargers won.
Yeah, I mean, Chargers seem to be holding it together with duct tape right now. I think it's amazing that the Texans are in this conversation because they haven't looked this good since CJ was in second year rookie. Whenever he had the breakout year, and the Texans look amazing. Yeah, the rookie year was a good year. Second year was kind of a mess for the Texans. I mean, look, the Texans have to keep winning. They dug themselves a hole. They can't really give away too much right now. Because I guess looking at the standings, they're 6-5. Jags are 7-4, and the Colts are 8-3. So yeah, I guess they're keeping close enough to the Colts that they could actually overtake them. And the Colts remaining schedule, they have the Texans this weekend. So if the Texans take that game this weekend, now you're talking about a 1-game lead with the Texans kind of on a hot streak and the Colts kind of limping right now. And the Colts still have the Jags, the Seahawks, the Niners, and another game against the Texans left on their schedule. Crazier things have happened. So if this is what's happening, Texans might get the division. Which, T-Bit, I would agree, kind of crazy. All right. Let's get into picks. Ugh. This is like my second or third week in a row. Just horrible. And the part that even makes me more upset, Pats win. They only win by 6. The Cards lose, but they lose by 3. So I had them at 2.5. They lose by 3. That completely got me. We both missed the Bills only because we thought it was going to be a game that the Bills would kind of bounce back. But no, the defense was way too much for them. And then you got the Rams, and I picked the Bucks. The Bucks right now are sliding fast. You got the Panthers +7, which, to be honest with you, kind of looked good for a little bit, and then yeah, like it was a type of game. It was a type of game that was ugly enough that if the Panthers covered, I would be like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think in the conversation where both Texas teams can make the playoffs, the Cowboys pull it off on Black Friday and the rest of the week. Cowboys are a weird team to kind of put some faith in right now. I mean, yes, if the Cowboys do win on... Who did I say they were playing? I can't remember. The Chiefs. Okay. I mean, that's a big game for both teams. If the Cowboys pull that off and get to 6-5-1, yeah, I don't know. It's more likely the Texans get in than the Cowboys, but I guess you want to put some odds on the chances of the Cowboys we'll take T-Bit's scenario here. The Cowboys beat the Chiefs Thursday. What percentage would you give them chance of making the playoffs after that?
Ooh, maybe like a 30% chance.
Okay.
The problem with the Cowboys making it is just how tough the rest of the NFC is this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the A-seeded Lions already have 7 wins.
Yep.
And the 49ers, for example, are at 8. The Packers are at 7. So you are really just hoping that one of those three teams kind of has a letdown in order to sneak in, and I'm not sure if that happens. Because I don't think they're winning their division. The other team being the fifth-seeded Seahawks, which so I just think it's too tough of a race for the Cowboys this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at the Cowboys' schedule, even if they win against the Chiefs, they have at Detroit, they get Minnesota at home, they get the Chargers at home, at the Commanders, and then at the Giants. So it's not like a difficult schedule to navigate, but I mean, look, the Giants, who knows? Is obviously Jackson Dart's back by then. They seem to be a different team when Jackson Dart's starting. Commanders game. I think Jaden Daniels is back practicing this week, so who knows? Chargers we talked about. 3 weeks from now, what are the Chargers like? Who's healthy? Like I don't know. The Vikings, probably one of the more disappointing teams this season, but McCarthy's now in concussion protocol, so who's quarterback for them? Yeah, I don't
Max
know.
Brosmer time.
At this point, I wouldn't hate it. Like, who knows? Maybe he shows something that JJ McCarthy doesn't, and you can go forward with him, and with McCarthy, maybe trade him off somewhere. Because McCarthy this year, I wanted to kind of give him a shot to play well. Every time he's out there, it's just one head scratching throw after another, and I just don't know how long Kevin O'Connell could withstand that, and how long you want to waste, I guess, what Flores is doing defensively on JJ McCarthy just not having it right now. And I know, Gene on the network, never been a fan of McCarthy. I thought there was at least something salvageable in McCarthy at Michigan. Maybe that's the Harbaugh, you know, bump for him, because everybody just loves Jim Harbaugh so much that they thought maybe a little bit more of McCarthy than he clearly is. But yeah, I would start Brosmer and be like, see if you can do it like a Jackson Dart, inject some energy. Let's see. So you're 22, 27, and 1. I am 24, 25, and 1. We are both under 500 now. But got another slate of games to go through. So if you're new to the show, we pick the primetime games, and then we'll take a favorite that we like to cover and a underdog that we like to cover. So this week, Thursday night, Bengals Ravens. We should have Joe Burrow back. Well, I guess first thing, would you play Joe Burrow Thanksgiving?
I think he is.
I mean,
He's
the man's
if
posting him in a LeBron jersey, like coming back. So clearly, in his mind, he's gonna play. Yeah, we'll get Joe Burrow versus Lamar, even though I think Lamar missed practice with like an ankle injury. I mean, I don't know. He's just been banged up all year. And for the Bengals, it seems like this is their final stand, because they do get the Ravens twice in 3 weeks. If they were to sweep those two games, sure, maybe the Bengals could do something. But um, the Ravens are a 7 point favorite. It is in Baltimore. How do you see that one playing out? Do the Ravens take care of business and cover, or does the reinsertion of Joe Burrow lead to the Bengals making it closer, if not winning over Baltimore?
Ooh, give me the Bengals keeping it close, but the Ravens win.
All right, you're
Look,
taking
I think
the Bengals plus 7. All right.
I think the Bengals keep it close. I think it's like a 3 point game, but if it comes down to it, I don't trust the Bengals defense to be able to make that final stop. I
Mm-hmm.
trust the Ravens defense more than the Bengals, which is saying something.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, they've been playing better since the bye.
Mm-hmm. And I will say the obviously watching Patriots Bengals last week, the Bengals defense had a pulse at least, which more than you could say for them a lot of weeks. And I don't know, maybe Burrow back in there gives them even a little bit more life. That Ravens offense, I know the record is what it is. They're leading the division. That offense looks awful a lot of times. Like the passing game isn't great. I feel like they still have this identity crisis of whether they want to be Derrick Henry centric. Is Derrick Henry just a complementary piece to Lamar in the passing offense? But the passing offense hasn't been prolific or even like I feel like that explosive in any way. But I'll take the Bengals plus 7 as well. I just think I would not be surprised if Burrow just has a field day. Plus Chase coming back off Spitgate where he apologized for whatever, which obviously you needed to apologize because one, you did it and then you lied about it like we're dumb and we didn't see it. So I think those two coming back, divisional foe, I think they'll be ready to kind of knock off the Ravens. So both going with the Bengals plus 7. All right. Sunday night. The Broncos are a 6.5 point favorite. What's up, Key? Broncos are a 6.5 point favorite on the road to the Commanders. Like I said, I think Daniels is practicing this week, but I don't know if he's going to play or not. I don't know if that factors in anyway, but I guess how do you see it playing out? Bo Nix and the Broncos offense. Good luck predicting them, but that defense is really good. The Commanders have had a bunch of struggles this year. So do the Broncos cover, or do the Commanders surprise?
Broncos cover.
Okay.
I'm not going to overthink this one. Defense completely locks up that offense, and as inconsistent as they are, I think they have more than enough to take down this Commanders defense.
Key says, "Why just shut him down?" I feel like I read that somewhere. I kind of want to double check it right now. Um, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, injuries. Yeah, Jaden Daniels is listed as questionable, so he is not out. So there's a chance Jaden Daniels will play Sunday night. I'm taking the Broncos as well. Look, Bo Nix can be inconsistent or whatever, but I think that defense is going to have its way with the Commanders. Monday night, we get Reverend Jameis, who, look, I don't know how you can't love watching Jameis Winston. The man puts on a show. You know, he's catching passes against Detroit, stiff arming guys and going into the end zone. And then after the game, he gave a Jameis Winston answer about it. He's like, I did the Heisman, and I don't know. It was just a Jameis Winston answer. But they're going up to New England to face the Patriots, 7.5 point favorites at home. Patriots coming off of a sloppy win over the Bengals, but they're 10-2 with an opportunity to get to 11-2. How do you see Monday night playing out?
I pick your Patriots to cover the spread. I think they have to overcome another improbable deficit, like being down 3-0 with 10 minutes to go in the first,
Mm-hmm.
and they pull it out at the end.
Okay. Pats minus 7.5. Yeah, I'll take the Pats as well. But like I said, Jameis Winston's gonna be entertaining, and it's Monday night. You know he's gonna up it like 15%. I don't know what, but he's gonna do. He'll do something that will, I don't know, maybe make you drop your jaw or something. Like he's actually playing well, I guess. But yeah, I'll take the Patriots. All right, so favorite now. Who's your favorite you like covering this week? We have some big numbers. Well, Thursday, your Packers are a 2.5 point underdog, but the Lions 2.5 point favorites on Thanksgiving. What's up, Gene? You got the Chiefs as a 3 point favorite in the middle game on Thanksgiving. Black Friday, you have the Eagles 7 point favorites over the Bears. Rams are 10.5 over the Panthers. Niners 5.5 over the Browns. The Shador Sanders led Browns because Gabriel cleared protocol, but Shador's still going to start. Colts are 4.5 point favorites over the Texans. That's an interesting game this weekend. The Dolphins are a 6 point favorite over the Saints. Saints tried out Justin Tucker, but signed Nick York instead. The Falcons are a 2.5 point favorite over the Jets. Bucks are a 3 point favorite over the Cards. Jags 6.5 point favorites over the Titans. Seahawks are 10.5 point favorites over the Vikings. Chargers 10 point favorites over the Raiders. And the Bills are 3.5 point favorites over the Steelers. So who's the favorite you like?
Ooh, I'm gonna try to manifest something here.
Okay.
My favorite, give me the Eagles over the Bears.
I see what you're doing. See what you're doing. Got to take down the division leaders. I get it. I don't hate it. All right, Eagles. What was it -7? I mean, I guess what's your big reason for that? I mean, I'm assuming you're just not a true believer in like the Bears and what they have going on. Oh man. But yeah, like I guess what's the biggest reason for that?
No, yeah, I think the Eagles can just control the game through the ground, and I think they have the defense to stifle the Bears' offense as long as the Eagles' offense themselves can kind of get under control and figure
Mm-hmm.
themselves out. I think they can run away with this one.
Eagles offense is so bad. I mean, it's one of the fascinating storylines each week. Like, oh yeah, it's true. C.J. Gardner Johnson. He couldn't do anything for the Ravens. He gets to the Bears. He's playing well. All right. Um, I guess the favorite I will take. I'm going to take my guy Baker and the Bucks -3 against the Cards. I mean, I look, the Cards are coming off a week that they probably should have beat the Jags, but you know they're just a bad team. They find ways to lose. Bucks need a win badly because even with the Panthers looking terrible Monday night, they're still right there. I think the Bucks get back on track and get the win over the Cards. All right, this is one we love going crazy with. Underdog you like to cover this week.
All right, let's see. You know what? I'm going to keep this one simple. Give me the Packers over the Lions.
Okay. Like I said, it makes sense with your Bears pick. Got your Packers doing it. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, look, as a Packers fan, I guess what's the biggest thing that your Packers gonna have to do against the Lions? What's that one key that they need?
Contain the run, force them into third and long so the pass rush can truly feast. We know the Lions are going to try to run the ball down our throats. The game's going
Mm-hmm.
to come down to if we allow it. If the Lions are in a lot of second and third and manageables, that's going to be a problem for us. So
Okay. All right. Let's see. Where do I want to go with this one? There is one that's kind of calling out to me. I, look, maybe I'm falling into a trap here, but I'm gonna take the Texans plus 4.5 against the Colts. I don't know if the Texans win that game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's another kind of nail biter that maybe the Colts get with a field goal. So Gene's got Dolphins -6 against the Saints. Yeah, that seems pretty. Yeah, I can see that one. I mean, Saints have. Yeah, Saints don't have Brandon Cooks anymore. Like, what are they gonna do?
I mean, what were they doing
I,
with
I
Brandon
forget
Cooks?
wherever Brandon Cooks is playing until he makes some news like this. But did the Bills sign him? Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess Keon Coleman can't get on the field because he, I guess during the week doesn't want to go to meetings or practice or whatever. At least Brandon Cooks is a pro. But I'll take the Texans defense slowing down Jonathan Taylor, and I think once again Daniel Jones will have to do with his arm, and whether or not he can, will definitely tell me something. But I'll take the Texans and 4.5. All right. So just to recap, we're both taking the Bengals +7 Thursday night against the Ravens. We're both taking the Broncos -6.5 Sunday night against the Commanders. We're both taking the Patriots -7.5 against the Giants on Monday night. You are going with Eagles -7 as your favorite you like. I have the Bucks -3 against the Cards. And then our underdogs, you have the Packers +2.5. I've got the Texans +4.5. And Gene says Browns plus the points. I'll have to keep that in mind. If they happen, I'll definitely. Actually, I'll jot them down right now. Dolphins -6 and Browns plus points. All right. So, I mean, look, that's how we end our show with our picks. But I guess before we get out of here, Brett, let the people know what they can look forward to later on tonight.
you can look forward to an episode of the And One podcast tonight where we're going to have a little fun. We're going to do a watch along of Philadelphia and Orlando. It's going to be a great time.
Browns defense at home is insane. Myles Garrett. That is, yeah. The year that Myles Garrett is having is just ridiculous. Most unblockable defender. You kind of wish the offense was just a little bit better. But yeah, I think he breaks the sack record. But yeah, so like Brett said, make sure you guys come back on the ball. Well, and one. We're on the ball. And one for a watch along. That should be a lot of fun. Also, Thursday, early in the morning, get up. Food's probably cooking in the background. Sideline to sideline, coming on to get you ready for Thursday's slate of football. So you'll catch both of us on there, as well as Gene in the chat. And then Friday night, Passion and Precision. I'm on there with Jory and Key. we have a great show lined up for you as well. Also, be looking at that Black Friday game. So, make sure you're back here in a little bit for and one. Appreciate you for tuning in to On the Ball. If you could, give us a like. Go ahead and follow Wire to Wire Network. That way we can catch all the great shows here on the network. Turkey, turkey, turkey. So, for us, obviously we won't see you until after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the family. Enjoy the football. We'll be back here next week to talk about it all. And if anything crazy goes on in the NBA, we'll talk about that as well. So, see you next week. All right. Good night.